Peace, 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 family. QI Critical Thinking is in the building. Shout out. Hello, Rose. Go lightly. Hello. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. As you see the title, um, I'm going to talk today on, how this new misogynist movement came about and Trump, and female misogyny on the rise. Pretty much, let me go ahead and give you first the definition of misogyny in case you did not know. Misogyny, it's a noun, and it's the hatred of women. This term was created and coined in 1650 from the modern Latin misogynia, from Greek misogynia, abstract noun from misogynes. Okay. All right. So pretty much, let me tell you, I ran across this article and it really upset me so much that I had to come on because I was going to do some topic, centered around, lesbianism or, something dealing with lesbians. And I had to go with this topic. Let me tell you, I would never tell a lie. I have never encountered so many misogynistic women until I entered YouTube. I almost cried today because it's like I've never seen, so many women expressing self-hatred and who doesn't realize that, they're sort of under MK Ultra mind control and brainwashed. They're taught self-hatred. When I first came on YouTube, I came during the Trump campaign. And, that's just because, I heard a lot of people talking about, do not vote, don't vote, don't vote. So basically I came on, YouTube and Facebook. I began to use social media to do my own little, private campaign because I definitely was not with Trump because, I remember before Trump got elected, he was like, grab him by the pee. Okay. And also there was allegations during the time that magically went away after he was elected about him molesting a 13-year-old girl. And I was like, how dare we? And then also Trump also pronounced or claimed women will lose their rights. And basically, since he's been elected, one of the first things is called the rollback, in which I did I posted that article. It's the rollback of civil rights acts. And the act that he wanted to roll back was the act that protected women, women against violence, as well as women's rights, as well as the LGBTQ rights, because they're combined together. And a lot of people don't know that. So for the LGBT community that's out there, when you're going against women's rights, you're also going against your own rights. And basically, he stated that he did not want to reenact, he didn't want to take back the executive order because it included the LGBT rights. But I can clearly remember when Trump stated that, women will lose their rights. And also we know that, the Vice President Pence, that's been his whole thing, plus the abortion agenda and a lot of things of that nature. So I ran across this article, right? And I'm going to read the article. Give me just a moment. This is from Psychology Today, in which I posted it in the link in the descriptions above. So, just look above, and everything that I'm reading or talking about, is the descriptions are already in there. So these are not my words. These are not things that I'm making up. This is actually what's going on in politics and different things of that nature. So we, really need to know what's going on. And, I'm here today, to present it because these things are flying over our heads. And I see this movement growing. And it says, are female misogynists on the rise? And it's an exploration of how Trump campaign encourages women to hate women. Do y'all not hear that? And, speaking of that, like, during that time, I came in through the Black conscious community, during the Trump campaign and different things like that. And basically I was speaking out. Like I said, when I came on YouTube, I came on and, I was, basically my causes were, I was against child sexual abuse, domestic violence, and any crimes against women. And I remember presenting these things to a lot of the religious people in the Black conscious community, because in the Black conscious community, you have like the Hebrews, you got the Moors, and all of their, religions basically believes in treating women like property. Okay, so I'm debating them, and I'm telling them, and basically, I get called the feminist, and I'm like, at that time, I felt sort of guilty about being called the feminist until I actually looked up the term or the word, and I realized that, like Maya Angelou once quoted, I'm a feminist because it's about time that I was on my own side. If you're a woman, you're supposed to be a feminist or a womanist, because who else is going to better protect your rights other than yourself? Okay, so, I realized that they were brainwashing me. They were calling me something that I should have been proud of. They made me feel guilty about something that I should have been proud of. And, and keep in mind that this was right around the time of, the Trump campaign, as well as they were also, telling people not to vote. And so the reason I bring this up is to point out the agenda as I read this article, and how these agendas come into our community, and how these different people are picking up on these agendas and they're spreading these agendas through our community. So we have to be very careful. Just like I was speaking of Boyce Watkins and, the Yvette Carnell, and how Boyce, has been accused of being a misogynist. And he also pushes the Republican topic, vote Republican. Okay, now I'm going to go get back to the article, but I concluded pretty much from that see, the light bulb came on when I found this article. I was like, no wonder, because before then, see, I was raised, my great-grandfather, I had the privilege of growing up with my great-grandfather. My great-father owns a farm, a large farm. And, he's been owning it since, my grandmother and them, my grandmama and them were children. All right. And they, they worked in the fields, and they milked cows, and they drove tractors, and they did all of those types of things. So I didn't grow up in a misogynistic family. I grew up in a family of strong women, very strong women. So basically, I didn't encounter this feminist thing, or this women, this thing that, women should be limited and all of these types of things until, pretty much I went into the Black conscious community. Because before then, I had really not been taught that. The schools that I went through, the colleges that I went to, that wasn't something that they necessarily pushed. They didn't push that, women should be limited. So I didn't grow up with that frame of mind. And when I went into the Black conscious community, it was unbelievable. But anyways, I found out, my light bulb came on when I found this article about why, then it was presented, and why, they were calling the women's suffrage movement, the feminist movement, and things of that nature. So let me proceed with the article. It was about a century ago, the 19th Amendment. And let me tell you real quickly what the 19th Amendment is. I'm going to put it on the screen so you will know. Give me just a moment. The 19th Amendment is the amendment that they gave women the right to vote. Here it is. It says, the rights of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state. This is the amendment. The 19th Amendment is the amendment that came along with women's suffrage rights, or as they mislabel the feminist movement. So this is when women gained the rights to vote. Okay. Now I'm going right back to the article over here, and it says about a century ago, the 19th Amendment was ratified to the U.S. Constitution, giving women the right to vote. About a week ago, a small faction of Trump supporters tweeted the hashtag repeal the 19th to demand its repeal. So they went on a campaign to repeal the 19th Amendment. Okay, that give the amendment that gives women the right to vote. Okay, so what triggered the controversial hashtag was the release of the electoral maps illustrating a Donald Trump victory if only men were to vote. And I got that this article is called, it's the Psychology Today article, and it's the link is above. But pretty much they did a study, and they released the electoral map illustrating a Donald Trump victory if only men were to vote. Another map, meanwhile, showed a Hillary Clinton win if only women voted. So as I've been telling you, women outnumber men by far. So, like, unless, you can get women, like, if women were to be feminists, or if women were to think, like, about, their own interests, then it would be very hard for, like especially a misogynistic male, or a male that would be unbalanced or unfair, to win an election. Okay, now let me tell you who came up with this method. Eric Trump, the candidate's son, included the hypothetical men-only map in a fundraising email, extolling it as proof that Trump's campaign was making huge gains. But to other Trump supporters, the men-only map was evidence that women were to blame if their candidate lost. Naturally, some men looked to Twitter to protest. So basically, when they found out that, like, without the support of women, at least the majority of women, or a good number of women, that Trump couldn't win, especially against Hillary Clinton, they came out, they basically took to Twitter to protest, and they were putting in hashtag repeal the 19th. And none of this, according to the article, and the author of the article, they stated that none of this surprises me. This is the kind of protest Twitter was built for. But what did surprise me were the following tweets. One is by Deplorable Janet, and it says, "Sounds like a feminist. I can't give you one good reason for women voting, but I will cry and report you for abuse. Hashtag repeal the 19th. The other one by Holly Hammersmith. A Emma Roller men should never have given women the right to vote. Hashtag repeal the 19th. And then CT Christian for Trump. I would be willing to give up my right to vote to make this happen. Hashtag repeal the 19th. And what's funny about those tweets, you would expect those to be men. They're not. They're all women. These are all women. And you're probably thinking, are they serious? Before your head explodes, the Washington Post reports that only about 100 tweets were genuinely serious about the repeal. The vast majority used the hashtag to condemn or ridicule it. Still, as a woman, I was curious about this strange woman for misogyny phenomenon. Even if it was a small minority, while I am familiar with a few women who have been outspoken champions of female disenfranchisement, like far-right pundit Ann Coulter and conservative activist Phyllis Scalafly, I somehow assumed they were just anomalies. I get her. Like, that's what I'm saying. I almost cried when I look around YouTube and stuff, and I see women self-hating on women, or women not. Because when you basically, when you're denying one woman their rights, you're also denying yourself your rights. Like, there's no way you're going to be the last woman standing. Like, if basically, if you're for male supremacy, you're pretty much, you might as well pretty much state that, you yourself are not going to, have any rights, and you're going to be a slave. You're going to be considered property and things of that nature as well. Okay, so the 19th, I'm going to read this article, and it's also, this is the history article, and these are reputable sites. The 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution granted American women the right to vote, a right known as women's suffrage, and was ratified on August 18, 1920, ending almost a century of protests. And they're saying a century because the women's suffrage movement started around 1820, before the Civil War. Okay. Now, in 1848, the movement for women's rights launched on a national level with Seneca Falls Convention, organized by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott. Lucretia Mott was, a black woman. All right. Following the convention, the demand for the vote became a centerpiece of the women's right movement. Stanton and Mott, along with Susan B. Anthony and other activists, raised public awareness and lobbied the government to grant voting rights to women. After a lengthy battle, these groups finally emerged victorious with the passage of the 19th Amendment. Women's suffrage. During America's early history, women were denied some of the basic rights enjoyed by male citizens. For example, married women could not own property. I repeat, married women could not own property and had no legal claim to any money that they earned. And I repeat, had no legal claim to any money that they earned. So imagine working 40 hours a week and you can't even pick up your own check and you don't even have the right to spend your own check. And I've heard stories like this. And, like this is how so many men, like a lot of the older women, the stories were, they left the house, for a loaf of bread. See, they had their check along with their, wives' check. And so they would leave the house, saying that they were going for a loaf of bread for the children, right? And never come back. So this woman had to scramble to figure a way to feed her kids and, basically survive. And next thing they know, like upon passing or, whenever they run across them again, this man has a whole nother family or two. These are the types of things that were happening back then. So, and no female had the right to vote. Women were expected to focus on housework and motherhood, not politics. The campaign for women's suffrage movement was a small but growing movement in the decades before the Civil War. Starting in the 1820s, various reform groups proliferated across the U.S., including temperance leagues, the abolitionist movement, and religious groups. Women played a prominent role in a number of them. Meanwhile, many American women were resisting the notion that the ideal woman was a pious, submissive wife and mother concerned exclusively with home and family. Combined, these factors contributed to a new way of thinking about what it meant to be a woman and a citizen in the United States. Okay? So, like a lot of people, like I'm saying, they try to poison us and say that the women's suffrage movement was bad, especially as black women. They were saying that the, white women were using us and, we didn't get any rights and stuff like that. We got the rights, we were still in segregation. So we got what rights they could give, if we had got more rights than the male, of course, they would be mad about that too. But, there are also other things that we don't realize that, women consider property. That means a man had a right as property. You can do whatever you want to your property. Therefore, a man had a right to beat, kill, do whatever he wanted to his wife and his children. So do y'all see? Do you see? And so right now, the agenda is to take us back to that place. And so many women are uneducated, ignorant about what's going on. And, basically, like I told y'all, patriarchy hasn't always existed. The world began as matriarch, as well as parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis is where women were asexual and they didn't have men, to produce, have to have men to produce babies. Well, really, there was no such thing as a man during those times. Okay, well, so the world began as a matriarch. Patriarchy was created by the Greeks, and it was a bunch of sheep herders. I've already covered this, and I produced the links as well. And all you got to do is put in who and when was patriarchy created, and then you put in PDF, and it's pretty much going to bring you to a lot of articles that's going to tell you the origins of patriarchy and how it was created by the Greek sheep herders and how it was pushed through religion. Okay, pushed through religions with the S, religions with the S, religions push patriarchy, and push, women being property. Okay, so, with women outnumbering men, like like in the United States, pretty much, according to the Constitution, it's like the majority rules. So if the majority rules, then we as women have a lot of power that we're not utilizing because we've been programmed, we've been made ignorant, a lot of different things, where we don't really understand that, we have rights and that we have power and that we can do this. We can turn around. We have to start thinking of putting ourselves, before, a man. Because how are you going to protect your children if you're not protected? So you have to put, we as women need to realize that we have a right. We deserve to have rights. We deserve not to be mistreated. We deserve not to suffer. We weren't created. We are like the first created here on earth. So we weren't created to suffer. We weren't created to be mistreated. We were created to be great. All right. So I'm going to just tell you some of these scriptures in the Bible that promotes misogyny. And pretty much, one of the biggest reasons why, okay, let's look at human sex trafficking. Let's look at child sexual abuse. Let's look at what's happening in society right now, in terms of women being used as sex objects, like women being property. That they make money off of women being property, because the people selling industry produces the most money. Especially selling women for sex. And although you think that a lot of men won't be on the bandwagon for that, there are a lot of selfish men out there that will find it much easier to, just buy what they want instead of, going through a relationship or getting married. Why go, it's like they're not as emotional as women. Women, we're emotionally connected. We love, we have harmony, we nurture, all of that stuff. Like if you look up masculine energy, men that don't naturally comprise of those things, that's not naturally, it's like called toxic masculinity. Masculinity is not supposed to be that way. But the type of masculinity we see that came along with patriarchy is toxic masculinity. But, like men, they have a whole different characteristic. Men has a whole different type of energy and a whole different type of vibe. So, pretty much, like it's easier to like just, buy, what you want versus having to work for it every day, versus having to marry it and go through all of the ups and downs of relationships, basically, ups and downs of relationships to be able to dictate. So there are a lot of men out there that would be selfish enough to go along with that. There are a lot of men out there like looking greedy, like, yeah. And let's look at what's happening. Like Kavanaugh just was accused again of another case of rape during high school. Like I said, Trump at 13. This is the same president that said grab him by the pee. Okay. Then let's look at the Fantasia. Okay, I love Fantasia singing, but I think she's a part of the pushing the agenda. I'm sorry, folks. Don't you think it's funny how this come along all of a sudden? And it's because it's voting. It's almost time for voting, right? It's almost voting time. And women outnumber the men. And we still have the right to vote. So we got to start paying attention. Like it's always during a voting time when they start putting out these propagandas, these agendas and different, they push it. And you have to look at the people pushing it, because although they may not have a handler, they may not have a handler. They might be a part of an organization or a group that pushes this state of mind. So we have to consider that. All right. Now I'm going to read 1 Corinthians 11, 3:10. I think I'm going to read that one. That's the long one. And the name of this article, which is posted as well in the up above in the chat, is the Bible and sexism. So 1 Corinthians said, but I want you to realize that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of every woman is man. Okay, so the head of every man is Christ, and the head of every woman is man. So are women not supposed to, like, for if you're a Christian, so women are not supposed to honor God above. Women are supposed to put men above God or Christ. That's what they're saying. Okay. And it says, every man who prays or prophesies with his head covered dishonors his head. But every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. It is the same as having her head shaved. Okay. Now let me go down to the next one, because this one is bigger. It's 1 Corinthians 11, 13, 16. No, that's not the one. 1 Corinthians 14, 34. Let me put it up so you'll know what scripture I'm on. There we go. All right. Now this scripture right here states, give me just a moment. This scripture right here says, let your woman keep silent in the churches, for it is not permitted unless them to speak. But they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for a woman to speak in church. Look it up for yourself. I got the scripture on the page. Look it up for yourself. Look it up for yourself. All right. Now let's go to this next one, and then I'm going to carry on here. Okay, it says, this is Colossians 3:18. It says, wives, submit yourself unto your own husband as it is fit in the Lord. Okay, and then Deuteronomy, it says, as seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her, that thou wouldst have her to thy wife. Thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails. Okay, so that's just a little bit of that one. And then this is the one that I want to read. It's two more that I want to read. And I'm going to tell you how they're wrong. I am going to tell you how they're wrong. Because first of all, I already did parthenogenesis, and like they don't dispute that. They just don't promote it because they want us to remain to be ignorant. They want us to think that man came first. But look it up, parthenogenesis. All right. So the next one I'm going to read is Exodus. And listen to this very closely. Exodus 21, 7 through 8. And it says, and if a man sells his daughter to be a maid servant, she shall not go out as the men servant do. If she please not her master, who hath betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he had dealt deceitfully with her. So men has had a right to sell their daughters. Do you not hear this? Men were selling their daughters. Men were selling their daughters. And there's even a scripture where, men can have sex with a little girl at the age of 9, as early as the age of 9. All right. Now let's go to Genesis 3:16. Now keep in mind, parthenogenesis. Let me put it in the chat so we'll be able to see. And then you gonna see here how they done confused you. How they done confused you. But when you know how to read, and when you know how to break down these words, these terms, and you get down to doing your own research, you find out how you've been bamboozled. All right, it says Genesis 3:16. Unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. All right, now Genesis means creation. Genesis means the beginning. Okay? Genesis is the beginning. And in the beginning was parthenogenesis. The word is in parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis, the beginning, creation. And if look up the definition, where women were asexual. And it was only women on earth. The world was matriarchal. Okay, so there was no man. There was no man in creation. Women were already providing children. So it wasn't a curse for women to provide children because women are the creators. There was only women. Women were creating other women children. So that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? There you go. Think, critically thinking. Okay, so and look it up. Patriarchy was created by the Greeks, and it was created by a bunch of Greek sheep herders. A bunch of Greek sheep herders. Now, this is where the Republicans are trying to push us back to. Pence, abortion, women should lose their rights. Why would you roll back the Civil Rights Act that protects that, you know, basically gives women their rights? Why would you roll back the civil rights? And it includes both. It includes the women's rights along with LGBTQ. But they blamed it on LGBTQ. Why would you do that? Why, Trump? Why, Republicans? Why are y'all telling us, you know, like women don't have a right to decide what to do with their bodies? And it started in Alabama, which by all means is a southern and you know, definitely Republican state. So that was the trial state right there. And this is what we get for not keeping up with what's going on in politics. And see, that's why they want to distract us. And, you know, they always go to celebrities and things to lead us or to mislead us. Fantasia, they didn't put her out here to mislead us. They didn't put Fantasia out here to mislead us. Because beyond all that, we got to keep in mind that there is a creator. And the creator is a woman. I'm sorry. Common sense. All right. So, like I said, I observe my Mayan or my Maya spiritual system. Because, you know, like, ain't no way. I'm too smart. Like, I done read the Bible from beginning to end when I was younger in college. And I couldn't get with that. I'm sorry. There's no way I can self-hate myself. I couldn't get with that. I'm sorry. You have to hate yourself to go along with things like, you know, people, you know, like basically that kind of treatment. I'm sorry. You know, there's no way you have any self-esteem or self-worth going along with that kind of treatment. I'm sorry. Truth is the truth. All right. Now, so I observed my Maya or Mayan. And according to the Mayan calendar, you know, they thought it ended. But it wasn't that the Mayan calendar ended. It was like the age of Pisces ended. So we're in a new spiritual era. And this new spiritual era, we're supposed to go back to where we began. It was meant for us to go through everything that we went through. It was meant, like all of this stuff with patriarchy, it was all meant because we're supposed to learn something from this situation. And I hope we did. But it's also, we're in the age of Aquarius now, and it's the rise of the divine feminine woman. So regardless if we want to, regardless if they fight against it or not, it's going to happen because you can't go against the creator. You can't go against nature and what's natural. No matter how, we're not that powerful. Man thinks they're that man is that egotistical, or the masculine energy, toxic energy thinks they're that egotistical that they can go against God. So what this Bible and all of this stuff is really doing is having you to go against the true God, or, you know, the true, our nature. All right. So, you know, pretty much, you know, nature, it's an agenda that's, you know, been hovering over us for decades. But like I said, nothing happens by accident. And it was meant for us. It was a lesson in that. So it was meant for us to go through it. Like if it wasn't, we wouldn't have went through it. It's like, you know, like nature's not, God is not that powerless. So we were meant to go through that to learn lessons. And so now we're back to the divine, the rise of the divine feminine energy, or the divine feminine, which is the age of Aquarius. Look it up. Look it up if you don't believe me. I'm teaching you something. Y'all need to look this stuff up. If you only knew how powerful you are as a woman, that you're full human. You are full human. 36 chromosomes. That's why we're an X and male is a Y. That's half of an X. And I even broke down like where testosterone was a virus. So we got to wake up. And we got to, revert things back to where they're supposed to revert. And this is not no male hating. This is not get rid of no males. This is not stop loving males. This is like we have to stand up and be who we're supposed to be. We got to stand up on our twos instead of being down on fours. We're not supposed to be down on fours. We're supposed to be on twos. And we are to be the head of households. Because women, you have the children. You like, and look at the way things are going. Things have not went right since then. If you go back in history and look at history, we did better because we cared. It was a balance. It was harmony. It was creativity. It was love. Look up feminine energy and you'll see the characteristics that come along with that versus the characteristics that come along with masculine energy. So basically, I'm providing all of this to you to put the agenda out there, especially with it being election time. And while they're going to push so many different propagandas, so many different agendas, because they're trying to get us to vote against ourselves. If you're voting for these Republicans, if you're voting, look at your candidates. If you're voting for candidates that, don't believe, because we have too many issues. We're getting fibroids from dairy products. Cancer is a high number among women. Breast cancer, ovarian cancer. They won't even look at that. And that cancer kills you quick. And it's a lot of it because the foods and stuff that our foods, the FDA is allowing these things, these chemicals and stuff to be put in these foods, and they know that it's harming us. Okay, so and then you got to look at, like losing your rights. And we got to look at a lot of different things. We have too many issues. We got to look at the amount of missing Black girls, the amount of domestic violence. How many women are dying now due to domestic violence? We got to look at all of these different things that everybody's turning a blind eye to and nobody's looking at. If you don't care about yourself, no one else will. And I'm going to leave you with that. Like, how are you going to take care of and love someone else like a child when you don't even love or care for yourself? So look all this stuff up and y'all pay attention to the agenda. It's a lot going on out here. It's voting coming up. Voting season is next year and they start off early. And these be tactics. Just like I said, look at the Psychology Today article. You're going to see where it was a tactic. They had to go into effect to try to get, and he still didn't win. He didn't win the popular vote. He won through the electoral college, and we got to get rid of that too. I was a part of. I signed the petition, and I actively reached out to people centered around Clinton campaign, because we got to get rid of that's unfair disadvantage. It's supposed to be according to the Constitution, the majority win for the people by the people. Democratic democracy means for the people by the people. So we're supposed to rule through voting. We're supposed to make the decisions through voting. Voting is our voice. That's why I say voting is our voice. All right. So, I basically want to come on and, I know it's controversial. When I get by myself and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to talk about what nobody else wants to talk about. I'm going to bring things to the table because I care. I want us to survive. And we have to, we got to start reading. We got to start researching. We got to start thinking. That's my name is QI Critical Thinking, because we got to start critically thinking, because it's like we're the sleeping sheep. That's why in the Bible it says the sheep herders. We're the sleeping sheep. So, pretty much I want to, just come on and tell that message. And let me read the chat and let me, just go ahead and, shout out to the chat. The real Queen Royalty in the building. Hello. Lightstorm in the building. Hello. Rose God Lightly. Go Lightly. This is an interesting topic. I've only encountered religious women being misogynistic. Some are very brainwashed and misguided, unfortunately. You're absolutely right. Rose Go Lightly. Because religion was to push that. Religion, like the articles that I put out, religion was to push patriarchy and misogyny. And they don't even know that they're brainwashed. They don't even know, that they're self-hate. They've been taught self-hatred, and that's how they've been taught self-hatred. As well, they're the ones that it's like a MK Ultra programming or something. It's like, but they don't even think about what you're saying when you're trying to wake them up. It's like they automatically go into attack because they've been taught that. They've been programmed that. They feel guilty when they feel like they deserve. They feel guilty. They feel like they're supposed to suffer. They feel like they're supposed to be beaten. That's why there's so much abuse going on within the church and the religion, because they've been taught that they're supposed to suffer, that they're supposed to be abused, that they have no worth. That's a shame. I couldn't get with that. I'm sorry. All right. Now back to the chat. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Hello. Shout out to Miss Do You Lavender. QI, you're doing it. Look better. You sound better. Won't he do it? God bless you, family. Keep on pushing. Yes, I do believe in God. I'm just not into that religious stuff. I do believe in a higher creator, not religious. I believe in a source. Lightstorm, can you explain what being a feminist means to you? Yes, feminist is loving yourself. Like Maya Angelou stated, yes, I am a feminist. It's about time that I, stood up for myself. It's about time I cared for myself. You're a female, so you're supposed to be a feminist. Female feminist. Feminist, a person who loves, cares, has self-worth, self-esteem, a woman who has self-esteem, self-care, self-worth, pretty much. That's what a feminist is. Nothing bad. All right. And KB Johnson, hello. Oh, my girl, Melissa Ocha in the building. Yes, yes, yes. That's why I looked at these white women like they were crazy when I was approached about buying a pink Ussy cat hat. Black people told them Trump was a hustler, but they voted for him anyways. Yes, I don't see why would any woman vote for somebody that's against them? That's crazy. Think about it, common sense. We were born with common sense. Common sense. Why are you going against yourself? That's crazy. Why you let somebody tell you to go against yourself? That's absolutely crazy. That's ludicrous. All right, let's see here. Alpha Pancha, I'm gonna get this. Alpha Pantry to Dunas. Pancha to Dunas. Hello. DJ Ash in the building. Hello. Retro Babe. Hello. Other side of 40, Sister Crystal. Hello. Also, aka Miss VHS. Tiffany still talks too much. Hello. Okay, let me go up to these comments. Hold up. I'm missing some comments. I'm a huge believer in the Bible. I don't take some stories literally because it's a teaching book. So it's full of examples and teachable moments. Okay. Keep silent. Oh no, submissive. Okay, Rose, go lightly. Well, she has dysfunctional relationships with low quality men she takes care of. Someone probably told her she shouldn't so bossy with her lovers, but those relationships were doomed from the start. Right. That's what talking about Fantasia. Okay, and Tiffany talk. Hello, Tiffany talks too much. Good to see you. Welcome. Fantasia is lost. She's so broken. She's hooked up with another man, and he's convinced her that she should be a slave. Yeah, that she should be submissive and under his thumb. And sadly, she fell for it. And yes, she's gonna be broke. He got her money. That means her money she earns belongs to him. Her money she earns belongs to him. You get it? You get it. Yes, the definition. Thank you, Melissa. She posted the definition of parthenogenesis. I think they're doing it because of the white low birth rate. Nah, no. Because we're looking at race. But at the end of the day, like I said, this is not about race. It's about gender, and it's been about gender from beginning. They have us distracted to pay attention to race. Now, you know, because when you say race, it's so many different races out here. Like a lot of people think black and white. No, because race, we're tribal. So like there are so many tribes out here. And there are so many tribes out here. So when you're saying race, you're saying tribal. And just think about all the tribes. Like every being came from some tribe. There was all tribes in the beginning. So it's tribal. And so when you look at like Jews, that's a tribe. When you look at your Europeans, that's a tribe. When you look at Irish, that's a tribe. When you look at Italian, that's a tribe. When you look at Sicilian, that's a tribe. When you look at like American Indian, we have so many tribes. It's like over 3,000 and some original tribes, original black, so-called black tribes, still existing in America. 3,000, I'm sorry, 3,000. And we came from Maya. We came from Mayan. We're Mayan. And there are tribes there because it's like every time we move, we identified ourselves as it's like bloodline or kinship. So every time we moved or whatever, we took on a different identity. We knew we were still a part of the same nations because it's nations, tribes, nations, bands, tribes, and clans. So it keeps breaking down. So, we knew we're all kin because we came from the same nation. However, like every time we moved, it was like kinships. It was like people who were married and, people who were related. So, like there are a lot of tribes. So when we're saying race or racism, we're talking about tribes. And there's probably 1 billion tribes on this planet. So which tribe are we talking about when we talk about racism? Because it's not just at the end of the day, like, it's not as simple as, just black and white. And I learned that too, because I was falling for that too. You got to, you got to do some research. Okay. Okay. Yes. You got to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, how can you love anybody else? If you don't respect yourself, how can you respect anybody else? If you don't have self-worth, how can you teach your daughter to have self-worth? How can you teach your son to have self-worth? How are you going to love? If you don't love yourself, you're incapable of loving. So that's backwards. And to allow yourself to be mistreated, that's self-hatred. All day, every day. I don't care, what island you come from, what planet. All right. In 2020, the demographic will flip. Minorities are now and will be the majority. No, we're already the majority in terms of numbers. You have to look at the Black Law Dictionary and you will see what the term minority really means. Minority means property of the United States. It means disadvantage of slavery. It doesn't mean number. And see, that's where they got us again. Just like black is a class system. Black and white is a class system. The dark-skinned Africans, when they come over here, they're considered white. Because it's a class system. It's not about the color. Minority, like when we're saying minority under the United States definition or legal, the constitutional, the political definition, it's about power. Like we don't own anything, therefore we're the minority. When we step up and start owning things, we won't be the minority. We are supposed to be like amongst the majority. But number-wise, we've always been the majority. Okay? Let's see. Yes, we're powerful. Okay, thank you, Alpha. Tudenius. I gotta practice on that. I'm gonna have to listen to that and get it. Because I like knowing how to vocabulary is very important. Words, etymology, all of that. Words are one of the most important things, so like I really, want to, get that pronunciation, and I got to look up the meaning. Yeah, you're right. Alpha says that, I'm not party affiliated, the issues within both parties. Yeah, but we have to, like for me, with women, like in terms of women rights and everything, and since we've been so disenfranchised, female disenfranchised, I particularly prefer a female candidate. And there are two. There's my first pick would be Kamala Harris because of the fact that we have like all the missing Black girls. Who else would care better about that? And who can we put pressure on? We got to put some pressure on Kamala Harris to get that taken care of, and then she's going to do it because she's going to want to be reelected. So, you know, like that's how you got to look at it. Numbers count for them. So and then you got to take your issues to them. We can't sit back and expect them to wave a magic wand or read our minds. We have to push them on our issues, push them on our needs, push them with the things that we need, especially when they're going to serve a second term. Because that's when you're gonna get more things out of their first term than their second term. Because the second term, you know, they don't care because they're not going to be reelected unless they're going to do something else political, or, you know, they're going to do something else and they really need a large number of people to back them. So you see how that works? All right. And my second choice will probably be Elizabeth Warren, because, you know, we really need some more female politicians. The abortion issue, civil rights, the women's rights rollback. We got to have a female, because you know, like, we got to have a female because this result relates to females. So who else is going to care more than a female? Like, she can't be, whoever we elect can't be a politician without, you know, having women's rights. So this going to really matter to them. They're going to really care about women's rights because they won't have the right to be a politician without women's rights. Have you thought about that? We won't have a right to do a lot of the things that we have the luxury of doing today without women's rights. So women's rights are very, very, very important. And then we have to think about these little girls coming up. Think about, you know, like, just willingly somebody could just rape, abuse. Like back in the day, you hear them stories, Color Purple. You know, they'd be running from men in the bushes and there was nothing to do. They could just sleep with you and then get up and go on about their business. Ain't nothing to be said. Do we want to live like that again? Really? I don't. All right. Well, you know, yeah, like, yes, Retro Babe, we have a whole year to push these women candidates. Because like I said, I got a first and a second choice. And then, you know, after we push them, like when they get in office, we have to push them to get our things done. And you can start with your local politicians, write them letters, emails. You know, if you're a part of groups, push these issues through groups, you know, like, just like the Black Caucus. I heard about the Black Caucus meeting with Trump. Did you really hear about the Black Caucus meeting? Not the Black Caucus, HBCUs. They met with Trump, but they didn't meet with Obama. But they want to say what Obama didn't do. But if you didn't meet with him, a closed mouth won't get fed. You know, like a closed mouth won't get fed. If we don't demand, or, you know, we don't put our foot down and say we have these needs, reparations. I'm not voting for no candidate that's not with reparations. Bernie Sanders says he's not with it. He said that last election. So he's definitely not, you know, on my radar. If you're not with reparations, I'm not with you. Period. And that's how we got to look at it, because we need our reparations now. So thank you. I know it was controversial. I know I have to just come on out with the truth, because if I don't say it, it probably won't get said. Like I said, a closed mouth won't get fed. I have to say the things that other people may be afraid to say. So, you know, like, I love everybody. Thank everybody for coming. Thank everybody for dealing with my controversy. You know, I hope that, you know, people learn. Make sure you go do some research. All of the links and stuff are in the description. You know, so you can actually see that I'm not just talking. These things actually exist for themselves. And, you know, these are actually issues. This is stuff that, you know, I'm not making up. You know, this didn't come from me. This is not, you know, this is what's really going on. All right. And I like to say I love everyone. And until next time, peace. And I'm going to give us a little music to go out with.
chão, eu desci com até o chão, até o chão, até o chão. Desci com Eu disse